and welcome to Business Eye. It's Friday. Outside they are assembling Santa's grotto, which gets me really excited. I love Christmas.
Me too.
I really do. I hate Halloween, but I love Christmas. It's the joy, the happiness of everyone smiling and all those Christmas bonuses. Do people still get Christmas bonuses, Simon? Do they?
I think they do.
Do they? I don't know. I must inquire. Will I give myself a Christmas bonus this year?
Give me one.
Give you one as well. We'll all one. Yes, folks, it's Friday and it's the mid-November. I was going to say the end of November, but I'm all over the place today because we had to run up here. Today we have two guests. Our first guest is Mark Flood from Brand Finance.
No, Renatus Capital.
Oh, Renatus Capital. Sorry, my apologies on that. See, I didn't do my homework on that. And the second person that we have coming in then is Francis Valloor, who will be coming in on the break. Mark, sorry for messing up your company there, but it's allowed. You were running late as well and running in the door. How are you?
Great. Yeah, looking forward to Christmas as well.
Yes, it is. It's probably too early to sound. I watched a couple of videos last night on Christmas as well. But Simon, how was your week? What's happening in your life?
I had a big cold this week. I felt sorry for myself. I had the man flu Monday, Tuesday. Then I recovered, and I've just been really busy fielding new pieces of work coming in, proposals and stuff. So it's great. It's great. But I love Christmas too. I love that kind of naive, childlike kind of feeling. I love Halloween too. I love the whole October, November, December thing.
Yeah, I do. I like taking the week off. We're quite blessed here because a lot of my clients and friends in the States, they only really get off one day in it. Where here it is. I like to take off the week. Take off the week, and I watch all the movies that I haven't watched for the whole year in that week. Then I used to drink, but I don't. I don't know what it's going to be my first Christmas without drinking. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You've been watching lots of movies.
They're watching lots of movies. So tell us what's going on today.
So Mark, Renatus Capital. So we met a few months ago, and what I was struck with was, I'm interested in your background, but what I'm really struck with is the way you've kind of almost disruptively changed the whole deal M&A market in Ireland. From what the newsletter that goes out on Sundays, the research that goes into that is quite astonishing. And I've met a number of people who say, if you're going to read nothing else, read Mark's newsletter or Renatus Capital newsletter on a Sunday. So maybe tell us about your background.
It is a good read, I have to say.
It's a very good read.
I do get it.
So I love that you know your stuff and you're not afraid to push the ticket in this space. So tell us a little bit about that.
Probably, thanks Simon and Joe. To give context, just to who we are first, and then and why we do the newsletter. We set up 5 years ago. We saw a gap kind of between private investors and private equity. In a sense, we call ourselves halfway between both. We might bark like a private equity house, but really we're a syndicate of entrepreneurs wanting to fund SMEs and bring them from good to great and beyond. Hopefully, that's so we gathered a pool of 11 million, which is small in fund terms, big in absolute terms, clearly. And we invested in three companies. They've been great fun and heretofore successful with great partners. And on the back of that, we raised 35 million, again, with the same model. We're not institutionally backed by state or pension funds. We're backed by entrepreneurs who want to help other entrepreneurs, and hopefully the outcome of that hopefully will be a return. But that's
Is it an independent board that sit down as well that listen to investors, or is it the same group of people that set up the fund?
Yeah, you've got a layer. So you've got the pool of money, which we say from our source of capital is self-made and sound entrepreneurs. That's the self-made and sound is the criteria for our investors, and they've the money. We're the day-to-day link between their money and the investee companies, and we've got a layer between us and the investors, which sit as an investment committee to say, do we invest or not invest?
Do they have to be at a certain criteria for you to even get them to apply for application? Because we know you could get bombarded with elevator pitches and application forms. We've set our stall out quite clearly. We're not, so if you think of the landscape of possible investments when you have a pool of money, we're not
property, we're not pre-revenue or pre-profit venture capital. So we've set our stall out with 4 criteria, which is businesses making $1 million plus profit, cash, EBITDA, interchangeable terms. That's the first, sustainable profit. And the second is a plan or prospects to double over a 5-10 year horizon, a great team, which is the most important, and a sensible deal for all around the table. So that can be in many ways. So that confines us probably to, if there's 250,000 SMEs in Ireland, there's probably 90% of them are too early or too small for our, there's people, we'd swap places with them in the morning with businesses throwing them out 300 grand a year, but it just doesn't mean, doesn't align to our strategy. It doesn't mean that they're brilliant businesses and they're doing better than us.
I think there's a lot of risk in, throwing out that 300,000 to those sort of businesses as well. It's when you get to that level, when a company is well established, they are making over $1 million a year. A lot of that could be going out on wages, realistically, and they need that extra capital just to get them up to that next level. Yeah,
well, I think it's evolution. It's horses for courses. It's just not ours. I think what I'd advise a lot of people at the earlier stage. There are some great earlier venture-backed funds, but. And some people get caught sometimes between friends and family and then getting institutional backing. But I think there's for them, and it's not us in Renatus, but for them, I think the big thing they should be doing is getting value added money. So saying if somebody has a product and they want to go international, find someone who has brought a product international, and you'd be amazed at the people who have amazing accomplishments and they're just saying, I want to do something. People want to mentor. People with money and success that have maybe sold out a business or retired, the amount of people that so that's where, and that's the key to our model, which we'll come to on the other, is getting value added money. And that's where at the earlier stage of the ecosystem, that's where you should be, where people should be, is going in between at the earlier stage, maybe in between the friends and family, and getting a venture back fund is getting that value added money.
You've mentioned the team, I think you said the most importantly. I've just been on a phone call with an organisation in the UK, and great organisation, but they now need to get a team. They have an investor ready, but the investor said, you need a business plan and a really strong team, and it's amazing they haven't already done that. So they're fortunate; they've got somebody champing at the bit to give them money. But what's the key aspect of a good team, and what do you look for in a good team?
We've spoken at depth. Our last 2 meetings, Simon, where we're setting out on this journey. You kind of and probably post-uni, where you've read about all the heroes, investors, hero entrepreneurs, hero everything, and my hierarchy of what makes a business would have been probably strategy or finance 1, 2, and brand, people. Now I'd flip that hierarchy. I'd say probably 1, people, 2, brand, 3, strategy, and the numbers are the outcome. That's and it's an inexact, it's an absolute inexact science. We brought the kids to Tato Park last week, and if Ray Coyle came with that business plan to say, I'm going to build a amusement centre, Disney-esque, out in the middle of nowhere in Meath, I would say get out of the room. So but he had the wherewithal to do it, and I think it's a mixture. I think the big thing is it speaks back to the brand values as well. It's I think most of the time people have the accomplishment. It's the absolute tenacity. That's the bit for us, and the people that if they've proven it, and it helps obviously if they've done it before, but if you can see that, I think in our world of SME, I think the absolute. I think it's speed. I think there's 2 elements. You talk about it's people and strategy and everything as well, but I think 2 main elements is speed on delivery. Like someone could have a great idea and it could be great, but
they need to have that speed to get it to market because it could execute it. You know, it's the clarity of what they're doing, the execution of it, and then along the way grabbing people and putting them in the life raft if you want to be rescued.
Yeah, and the team, like you just need to spread competencies, and we're working quite a lot more on the psychometrics to a level, but the analysis of a team, like you need if it's a Gaelic team, you need your goalkeeper, your full back, your midfielder and your forwards. So you need the blend. The blend of the people is important. The integrity, the blend, and there's no, if there was a formula, or I don't think artificial intelligence has got there yet. You know,
it doesn't have an emotion.
It's like a multifaceted Rubik's cube, isn't it? You could have the perfect CFO, the perfect finance person, legal person, marketing person, but if they don't work well together, if they don't work well together today, but they do yesterday. You know, if things change every day, you know, so it's multifaceted and it's constantly moving, isn't it?
With a lot of organisations as well, when they set up and they have that great idea, you know, the one thing that I've always said to clients is, when money is thrown on the table, that's when things change. And a lot of people who are in the industry and, you know, they come to you for $1 million, things can change within the organisation as well, and you know there's a lot of ego wrestling in as well. So do you, when you're looking, you say the psychometrics, which is very important, so you're looking at the psychometrics of the individuals in the business, but also for them they should be really looking at who is their customer, really and truly. And a lot of people don't look who their customer is on it, and that's do you scratch your head sometimes and kind of go, God, these guys are great, but they still need too much work for us to invest?
There can be. I suppose back in our case, we've a team on the other side of the table who have delivered a business that's making over $1 million. So they've already proven themselves in a sense. So there's less. Or
they're hiding it.
Yeah, well, there's less question over their ability to deliver. It's then can they deliver to the next level? Like and then that comes to hunger and tenacity and.
What are the hotspots industries that you are looking at the moment?
Well, if you take the 3 businesses we have, one's in food retail, one's in pilot training, and the other is kind of light manufacturing, distribution. So we've quite a broad spread. I think in Ireland you can't, if you kind of confine yourself by metrics, you can't confine yourself by sector. But I think and there's some other sectors, like we'd be ourselves, we wouldn't, you know, on trend and to our own values and to our investors' values. Like I don't think, you know, we'd be slow to get into single-use plastics or anything like that now. So it's getting into proper sectors that are going the right direction.
What about your own judgment? Have you ever surprised yourself with your own judgment calls, positively and negatively, in terms of who you've backed and the sort of people and the sort of business? Have you surprised, looking back, have you thought, I could have done that better? Wow, that was an amazing backing.
Well, thankfully, all of our three investments, they've been great. But yeah, there has been some that you kind of we let go, and it probably came back to in our earlier days. We kind of thought that we could analyze all these ourselves, but now we really, when we're looking at an investment in a sector, we don't know. We've quite a broad network ourselves, and through our investor base, we bring someone who's an expert in that. So in the form of Boojum, our Mexican restaurants, we brought Dan Thompson, who was head of retail in Paddy Power. And Paddy Power was about preserving brand and scaling retail, and he's been just brilliant on that. And in Simtech, we brought Eugene O'Reilly and his colleagues, and Eugene was CEO of a airline in Turkey. And so we're very much about knowing what we don't know, now more so, and bringing an industry guru along with us on the journey.
In terms of the newsletter you sent out, when we met, you said that you just went for it, and you almost like broke market expectations, and you just researched like mad, and then just went for it. Yeah,
we said how it was. The origins were we had a lot of expat entrepreneurial investors abroad. And our first newsletter 5 years ago went to 20 people on a BCC list, and now we've 30,000 people on a database. But it was, it's a 10-hour shift every week. All our team get involved, but we love it, because it's researching deals that have happened, it's researching
very
company performance, and it's researching people. So it's not like work to us, So it's, and I suppose consequently that passion flows through, and
you
people
can
like
see
reading it.
Yeah. I do like it with a cup of coffee. I'm thinking of that. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this, folks.
You're listening to Joe Dalton on Dublin South FM, community radio with a global audience.
Welcome back. Mark, we were talking then a bit before the break about the sort of companies you invest in. But in terms of your company, what's the value add that you bring to your investments?
I guess, any partner, if it's, if we're buying out shares, sometimes we might buy 50% of a company and we're really getting into bed with that partner, or we've an existing management team who are doing a management buyout, or we've somebody from the outside buying in. So it is a marriage, and everyone is asking, what value add do you bring? So I suppose our guiding thesis is to be hands-on when needed and hands-off when not, because they don't want, at the end of the day, they're the jockey, the business is the horse, and you got to leg them up and leave them at it, but help them if you can.
It's a subtle balance, isn't it?
Oh, it's very subtle, and we're learning all the time, but we try to get feedback every time, and we've framework around that, where 3 months into an investment, 6 months, 12 months, we get feedback and try and get that balance to be hands-on and value add where possible, but not get in the way.
Is your business learning to what extent is it learning through the feedback you're getting from your investee companies?
Massively. Like we've going into our fourth investment soon, is we're different people than we were going into our first, and so the value add, we pitch it as 5 pillars. There's ourselves, who are the kind of lead directors. There's myself and myself, Brendan Traynor, Greg Hogan, and Philip Gardner. We're the senior people in the organisation, and then we've got brilliant support around with our analysts. We would not get a job in Renatus. They're way smarter than we ever were.
Yeah.
So they're like a young McKinsey. So we've run businesses. So that's us. There's the young McKinsey. There's our investors, who I've mentioned, who are all deep in SME. The fourth layer is co-investors who can add value. And then the fifth layer is bringing in functional experts. Because the joy that we love of SMEs going from good to great is that you can't just throw endless consultants or 300 grand heads of functions. So we're diagnosing, well, you might need that in marketing, you might need that in operations, you might need that in HR, and we've got a band. We've done an awful lot of work to get, we've met endless amounts of HR directors, so we can match the right one to bring that strategic influence.
What is your passion behind it that drives you in the business?
We just absolutely love the dynamics of SMEs. It's as someone said before, I think the test to see if someone is curious and loves it, you go into a bar, you say, well, there's 50 seats here and half of them are full and half of them are drinking and half of them are eating, and you're trying to, the dynamics behind the business just are absolutely intrigued. And then that's the first part, is just the drivers of a business, and the second part is the ability then to see that business realise its potential. That's what really, really, really drives us. So you can see, like, we've taken, not us in conjunction with the management team and the existing business, like Boojum was we call a top 10% Irish company. It's now a top 1% Irish company. Simtech was a top 10% Irish company. It's soon to be a top 1% with a big contract we won. And it's seeing the realization of potential, which is such a confluence of the business, the strategy, the people, the brand, everything.
What's your biggest frustrations that you would have? Not moving fast enough, or is it?
Yeah, not moving fast enough, and maybe people not kind of respecting equity, or we've seen businesses that have said, no, we don't need equity, we're not going to sell now, we're going to give it to the next generation, and the next generation don't look happy, they're not passionate, they're not maximising the potential of the business, and it's when you see lose outcomes. We've lost because we haven't got an opportunity to invest, but then someone else has lost because the business isn't fully realising its potential.
What was the driving force behind you setting this up? Like, what were you doing beforehand, and when did it sort of click in and says, this is a great idea?
A typical CV of a child, teenager, of a buying, selling everything, and from a family business, so always driven by business. And
just the rawness of SMEs, I sense you enjoy.
Oh, it's the trader and SMEs and the entrepreneurs. Like, to any entrepreneur who goes day one with nothing and with a blank canvas and ends up with a business making $1 million, the respect for those people, because they know business. They're not just good at HR, not just good at brand, not just good at finance. They could be ahead of any function, and it's as someone said, go and get a new hobby, but it's not like
a hobby. You could be rubbish at a hobby.
It's my heroes are Irish entrepreneurs, and each one of them has a different facet.
But that's ironic. You know, the heads of a lot of these multinationals around the world haven't been through that cut. I mean, Joe and I have owned our own small businesses, entrepreneurial businesses, products and services and stuff, and every day is just on the edge. Whereas a lot of those senior executives have just been through, business schools. They haven't lived and breathed that stuff. No.
Until you go to bed at night wondering how you're going to pay the wages in the morning. If you haven't done that, you haven't lived business.
It's like the joke that I say. I sleep like a baby. I wake up every 3 hours.
But that's a lot of people are and great, amazing people, and but they've lived with a cotton wool existence of sorts.
Do you know the one thing which really dawned on me was a couple of years ago was, oh my God, I'm now paying these people's wages, and these people are using their wages to get mortgages, and that sort of thing dawned on me. When, oh my God, I'm responsible for these people, and they're paying, and they're getting their mortgages, and they're raising their family on my decisions. That was something that really sort of kind of went, oh, I did, yeah.
I'm a grown up now.
Yeah.
Mike, tell us about was it the Real Deal conference you held down at Goffs in Kildare recently? Well, tell us a little bit about that and what the purpose of it and what came out of that conference.
I guess it speaks to what we've just been talking about with entrepreneurs. We thought there was there are many conferences, but our exact sweet spot of SMEs, we said we'd love to get a lot of heroes on the stage giving their story, and we'd love to get a lot of SMEs listening to that story. And that was the guiding thesis. Stuart Fitzgerald from Fitzgerald Power kind of brought that same idea to us, and we were brainstorming. We said, there's a gap for this. Stuart said, I'm thinking of doing this. Will we do it together? Last year was the first year. This year was the second year. So both years we filled Goffs with just under 900 people, both years. Yeah. And the sense of curiosity amongst the audience, and probably their hunger to learn from the SME heroes. And like, we've had 14, we won't name them here, 14 absolute heroes on the stage telling their story. And from last year, David Bobbitt, who's taken his business from a modest business on the Naas Road to supplying pretty much every kitchen for McDonald's globally. You've Donna Kelly, who had a whopper of an exit that won't be matched probably this year for one entrepreneur. Bríd O'Donoghue, who's done what she's done in Primark from scratch, effectively, and people. So we've such a deep database we communicate to every week. So we worked on that database, partnered with Fitzgerald Power and Bank of Ireland and Sunday Times, and we filled the room with curious entrepreneurs. And
I've just said that it's I think what makes a great entrepreneur is someone that is curious. Mm-hmm. And the necessity is the mother of all invention. Yeah. But it's that curious DNA strand that you might have that makes you realise that what you're doing is right when everyone else wants to jump out the door. You kind of go, one more. I have the strength to carry on, to keep going on that.
It's a restlessness as well. It's curious and restlessness. You don't stop,
Yeah, I think there's a phenomenon that there's a selection of elements that have to kick in. It's speed, the right people, spot on with the message that you have with the clients, knowing exactly the psychometrics of the clients are as well, and it's all this soup that mix together. And when they all the stars line up, that's when you suddenly wealth just comes your way on it then as well.
Yeah, is there a book? Is there a book in you, Mark?
I don't think so. My wife would say definitely not.
There's a checkbook there. We're talking about Ireland and we're talking about what you're doing. Are you as a company looking for investors outside or companies outside as well?
Yeah, we have a lot of investors outside. There's probably an expat team by virtue of network.
Okay.
But they've brought an awful lot of value of our existing businesses. Renatus, we supply pretty much 80% of all car license plates UK and Ireland. We've now won 2 contracts for 2 US states, soon to be announced. So we've a market entry into the US with that business. Boojum, we saw 5 Mexican restaurants the day we bought the business with David Maxwell. We thought we could be to Ireland what Chipotle was to the US. We've 18 stores, soon to be 20, and we're looking at a UK market entry for that business.
It's a difficult industry. Like a friend of mine owns Night Catering, and they have a restaurant up in Stillorgan, and they do the catering all around. God, people have this romantic idea about the restaurant. It's not for me. No, definitely not. I like my 9 to 5s.
No, it's not. But in Boojum, I suppose we saw a great management team, we saw a great brand, and we saw a great product that had runway to scale.
Okay, so if someone wants to sort of reach out to you, or they want to they want to find out about your newsletter or whatever, where can they get that? Or
Renatus.ie, renatus.ie. So that's us. There's a place to register for the newsletter, and our story is there. But our kettle is always on in Mount Street if anyone wants to come in for a tea or coffee.
The question as well is: do you open up for if it's called applications? Is it once a quarter, or if someone has a great idea, do they kind of knock on your door and say, "Look, this
always on"? We'll take Christmas Day off. Other than that, our mobiles are on the website. Our emails are on the website. We're always on.
We're always on it.
We'll have to test that Christmas Day one.
Well, he said his kettle is on. I'm going to follow him in now and have a coffee.
Mince pie as well.
Have a coffee on there. That's great. Look, it's great having you on. It's I think it's great to see companies like yourselves, investors like yourselves, of what you are doing, especially in Southern Ireland, because it gives hope to what's happening out there at the moment. And I think Ireland is full of entrepreneurs. We get very creative. The experience that we have from traveling around the world and bringing it back it's like I know some coaches around the world, and they said per head of population, they think Ireland is one of the biggest for entrepreneurs mindset that they have come across in the world. So I think it's great that you are tapping into that as well.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Simon.
Thanks very much.
On that note, folks, we are going to take a quick break, and we will be back in a few minutes.
You're listening to Joe Dalton on Dublin South FM, community radio with a global audience.
Broadcasting to South Dublin on 93.9. This is Dublin South FM.
We have a very different and equally powerful, magnanimous guest on the second half of the programme. Welcome, Francis Valloor. It's great to have you here. And I understand you're a consultant, clinical psychologist, author, international speaker. And for you, the whole aspect of living a centred, mindful life is critical. Welcome to the studio, Francis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for having me here.
Yes, I came. Myself and Francis had a coffee there a couple of weeks ago, and Francis we were speaking about some of the information about. We could say, I don't like to use the word mindfulness because it's battered around like an old boot. I like to use the word consciousness. And it's basically, and I'm sure Francis will elaborate on that, on what he believes it is. So, Francis, what is it?
I call it actually awareness.
Awareness, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Because mindfulness for me is a stripped down version of the real thing. When the Buddha started that, his purpose for doing this was a complete transformation of human beings from the way we live in pain and suffering and so on, move from there to a state of freedom, joy. How does this happen? Through compassion. If you become a person of compassion, then inevitably your life begins to change. The way you look at everything changes. Your experiences change, because in the mind you have all the problems that you experience in your life, in the way you live your life and the way you relate to people, the way you treat the world, the environment. All this is because of a mind-based life. Our business is all mind-based. Even psychology, unfortunately, is by and large has been psychiatry, medical professions, all mind-based. And we have the consequences, the cycle of suffering, non-stop. And someone like Buddha came along and said, look, we can stop this if you want. But you have to decide. Come out of your mind. Go to your heart. That is where it is. You'll find it there.
It's interesting because, yes, we all live in our minds, and the mind controls everything we do, which then is our education. As you say, all the different professions are out there. Like the biggest question that I ask myself is, how did it end up being this way? Like, it was thousands of years ago, and are we now starting to try? Is there a movement that we are starting to try to connect back with this, or has that movement always been there? We're just part of it now.
It has always been there. Every now and then someone will come along and try to wake us up. A great man, a poet, summed up the whole entire message of Jesus. For example, he would say, according to him, is wake up. Just 2 words. And that is exactly what the Buddha was saying. If you wake up, you will necessarily wake up your heart. What was Jesus talking about? Love. What is Buddha talking about? Love, compassion.
I think it's all about love and compassion. Like, it's one of the things, and if we talk about, and I'm practicing this at home with my children, and what I'm doing is, instead of if they're speaking to me about something, I'm kind of not answering them from my head. I'm actually focusing on my heart, and I've learned that through Love Matters.
Yeah.
Heart Matters, and I focus on my heart, and then I answer them, and I'm answering them in a softer, gentler way.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. And then I shout at them.
Yeah. I've been in the spiritual program for 14 years, and the essence of that program is exactly what you're talking about. Is coming out of your own head and thinking and doing things for others, even if it's painful, even if initially you're acting the part. If you act it, eventually you'll do it. So, and that's that's the essence of all these 12-step programs, recovery programs, is taking yourself out of. But why have human beings been so addicted to relying on the mind so much when it's obvious that it's not just about the mind?
Yeah, it is not about the mind, but because its mind is our determining factor. How do we look at life, and how do we look at our relationship? The incredible thing about this is things that keep repeating, and we know it's coming from our minds. The belief system, the experiences get stored in our lives as concepts and beliefs, and they determine the direction of life, the behaviors and relationships, all decided by this belief system, mind. Whereas when we relate to life, to any experience, we look at it from our hearts. It's a very different experience. This whole thing changes. It is not a huge it's a huge life-changing program. It is not like it's going to take ages to come to this. This happens.
I agree.
It does, but there's two elements to this. There's our minds, but then there is our bodies. And sometimes our habits are not from our mind. Our habits is from our memory muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll do something and your body will go, oh, I remember this and this is how I react. And it's not the mind. And it's focusing on our thoughts. And our thoughts are feelings, but sometimes our thoughts tend to be feelings which can screw us up.
However, the body is bearing the brunt of the mind and what the mind is doing. One of the things we notice in all our hypnosis and our suggestions and so on, and our psychosomatic disorders and all this, how much the body ends up being subservient to the mind and ends up doing its bidding and see what happens to us. Whereas, if it's the other way, if this conditioning, that is mind-based conditioning, stops, hearts are alive and active, health improves actually for people. And so the body is actually being lost because of the mind's activity. Not body doesn't have an independent. If the body is allowed to follow its wisdom, we are in good shape. It is the mind that interferes with that. If we listen to our bodies, the body will say one thing, the mind will contradict it. The mind says something, but the body will say, not really.
But it's okay. So if you're looking at the body and the mind, right, and then you were talking about how does that affect of the future? Like, is the mind just projecting us into the future of what might or could happen to protect us, or should we just we talk about living in the now, or should we just look at what is actually happening now and not worry about that because it doesn't exist?
The body is only capable of being in the now. That is why these meditation practices and so on are talking to us about being in the moment. How can you be in the moment? By being in your body. Mind is what takes you away to the past and future. That doesn't exist really. In the body, if you are in your body, you are in the moment. See? That is what happens to us. And then the attitude towards our own bodies changes if it is from the heart.
So, is this why addiction programs and recovery programs never just focus on the mind? They focus on the mind, the body, and the soul. They call the soul.
Yeah.
And my personal view is that you can't just do this by addressing the mind. You need to look at all three. And things like alcoholism really are about the whole and the soul. The alcohol or the food or whatever is the symptom. But it's the whole and the soul. Is that what you think?
Yeah, it is actually partly it is true, and that's a whole complex issue. I would say for 1 minute or two to say. However, I would say something also about this. We can change this. The more we listen to our hearts and our bodies, we are safer and we connect with our souls through our hearts. This is why there is something earlier, to go back to earlier what Joe said. I believe there's a quickening of this, what is happening. Human consciousness is changing in a way it has never happened before. So we are rediscovering our life in a different way now. One of the things, I have a program that I do, the Compassionate Workplace for businesses. And yesterday I gave a talk to a group of business people. Some years ago, if somebody came up with this and said this to a group of business people about compassionate workplace, I think they would laugh at this whole idea.
Yeah, no,
nowadays,
with the cigarette and the pint.
Yeah. Nowadays, the people are interested in it because there is a realization dawning upon people, business people, hard-nosed people, accountants, executives, CEOs, or they're taking interest in this.
And is that because people have realised they've gone as far as they can with the old way of thinking, and that pragmatically, if we don't take this softer approach, it's all going to collapse?
It's also, if you have if you bring compassion to the working place, how will it show? Through kindness, through love for people, through supporting people. And what happens is the atmosphere changes, productivity improves. You take care of your employees, for example, or your team. They give you the best. I have numerous examples of this, and now it is research-based. Last few years, they have done a lot of research in America, and the absenteeism goes down. And overall, it's good for business. Bottom line goes up.
But here it is, because the old way is, the fittest survive, dog eat dog, it's all done. And I think that whole mindset is changing, and it's all sort of, you're right, people now are starting to ask questions, and it's asking questions because what's going on in the environment? What are we doing with plastic? What's happening to the air we breathe, the forests, the oceans? All these are happening in such a way for people to sort of ask these questions, and a question creates another question, which is an answer creates it, and I think that's how it's evolving. In saying that, we're getting close to the time. Francis, you're running an event very soon. Where is that, and what is it about?
I have an event, a 2-day mindful. I would call it mindfulness retreat, but it is really awareness. It is the title of the thing is of the 2 days is living a heart-centered life. This is not only for businesses, it's also for people, anybody who is interested in it. And a very interesting mix of people come for this. What I would like people to experience during that time is what we are talking about exactly. Come down from your heads. It is very tiresome. It causes a lot of pain there. Yeah. There is a far better place for you to go and live from there. Your life is going to be different. You will be happier, peaceful, enjoy your life, have better relationships if you can begin to do this.
Where can people, if they want to check out, give us the web address if they want to check out, say, and look
my
more
own
into
website is the best place to go to. www.francisvalloor, FrancisFalloor.com, and there details will be available, and it's in Selbridge, 23rd, 24th, Saturday, Sunday of
we
November.
have that up on the website as well. So we'll have your details up on the site so people can track it down as well.
Thank you very much for doing that. Yeah,
Simon.
I find this subject is very close to my heart. I'm going through my own journey, very positive journey, and it's wonderful to have you here.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you.
Joe.
So, folks, Simon, what's plans for you next week? You've got 30 seconds.
More business plans, new website hopefully coming out next week, and the same fun.
Same fun. And yes, I'm running a mastermind myself. You can catch that on jdc.ie, and that's a mastermind for entrepreneurs. It's a peer group. If you want to come, you'll catch it at jdc.ie. Until next week, folks, on Business Eye, we've had another super week with my co-host Simon Haig, and we will catch you here again. Until then, have a super weekend. And